Good evening, New York City. The Romance Writers of America is proud to present the 38th Annual RITA Awards. Your MC for the evening is a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author of historical romance. Please welcome Sarah MacLean.
Hello, New York City, RWA. Okay. I am so thrilled to be here on this stage in my city, celebrating the genre that we love so much. There is a lot of excitement in this room tonight, and you can feel it, and a fair amount of curiosity. First of all, who's going home with Rita? Did you sneak in enough wine to tide you over until the end of the ceremony? How long before your Spanx officially cuts off your air supply? I'm told there's also a fair amount of nervousness about tonight's awards, and here's what I'll say about that. Don't worry, I'll be so gentle. After all, Brockman said it all last year. And if recent events have taught us anything, they've taught us that plagiarism is not cool, not even when you're plagiarizing the greats. So tonight, we celebrate the best and brightest of romance. And not just the best and brightest of this year, but the best and brightest of the past. Tonight, we celebrate the Trailblazers, the people who built the modern romance genre and ensured that happily ever after became our single revolutionary rule, because happily ever after has always been revolutionary. Living in hope, living in happiness, living in equal partnership, and in love. What better way to smash the patriarchy, to resist hate, to combat racism and bigotry? What better way to make change? What better way to change the world than to live our triumphant happiness in love? From the beginning, romance has told this story. Romance writers have written it, and readers have celebrated it as we do tonight. Tonight, as we honor this year's Rita finalists and winners, we will also honor our too often unsung history, and with it, the trailblazing authors upon whose shoulders we all stand. The authors who created the modern romance novel and the ones who revolutionized it, telling bold, brilliant, inclusive stories that continue to resonate today. Of course, recent years have served as an undeniable reminder of the work we still have before us, a reminder that bears repeating. In 37 years, no Black writer has ever won a Rita Award. It bears repeating. Despite the genre's inclusive history, only 2 of the thousands of marginalized authors who trailblazed before us have ever stood on this stage and received an RWA Lifetime Achievement Award. It bears repeating. And so tonight, it is my very great honor to share this stage with some of those trailblazers, authors who have not been given access to it before now. Authors who built the vast, varied, vibrant genre that we celebrate tonight, a genre that ranges from Bollywood dream sequences to Gilded Age New York, from 15th century Italy to the Alaskan wilderness, from runaway brides rescued by billionaires to the first professional women's rugby team, to survivors of domestic abuse claiming their futures, from Navy SEALs to picture-perfect cowboys to world-weary dragon lords. And alongside the books of this year, we celebrate the one undeniable truth. Whether drafting on the subway ride to our day job, writing while 3 kids under 6 play under the kitchen table, volunteering with nonprofits on the border, or running for governor of Georgia, romance novelists get it done. Romance novelists tread a path forward, one of hope and love that honors the history and the heart of the genre and celebrates not just happily ever after, but happily everyone after. All this, and we'll give out some gorgeous golden statues too. Welcome to the 38th Annual RITA Awards.
Our first presenter is the New York Times best-selling author of more than 50 books. She believes that the most important thing in life is to both be yourself and love yourself. The rest will follow. Please welcome last year's RITA winner for Best Paranormal Romance, Stephanie Rowe.
In 1987, Rita Clay Estrada, the namesake of the award we are here to celebrate tonight, wrote one of the earliest paranormal romances, The Ivory Key. From Rita's long-ago Ghost to L.A. Banks's Vampires and Nalini Singh's Archangels, Shelley Lawrence's Werewolves to Kresley Cole's Valkyries, the trailblazers of paranormal romance have proved from the start that we all deserve a happily ever after. Paranormal delivers us heroines who aren't just kick-ass role models, they can literally kick ass. Sci-fi and fantasy romance fearlessly explore complicated themes through alien characters and imaginary worlds, teaching us valuable lessons about our own world and helping us see the humanity and inherent worthiness in everyone, no matter what happens at the full moon. The finalists for the Rita for Best Paranormal Romance are Dearest Ivy by J.R. Ward, Ballantine Bantam Dell, Ballantine Books, Kara Welsh, editor. Debriefing the Dead by Carrie Blaisdell. The Wild Rose Press, Black Rose, Callie Lynn Wolfe, editor. Haunted Hearts by Kimberly Dean, self-published. The Last Wolf by Maria Vale, Sourcebooks Casablanca, Deb Worksman, editor. Out of Body by Suzanne Brockman, self-published. To Catch a Rogue by Beck McMaster, self-published, Olivia Ventura, editor. Wretched by Kara Crescent, self-published, Theodora O'Brien, editor. And the Rita for Best Paranormal Romance goes to Dearest Ivy by J.R. Ward.
Well, shit, I didn't do anything. I didn't think I'd win. Oh my God, this is happening. Okay, so I just am very, very grateful for RWA to bring us all here and for the judges, for my editor, Kara Welsh. This means more than you'll know. I've been in this business for so long, and I am still as grateful as I was the first day my first book was published. I was conflicted about staying nominated for some very good reasons. And I'm urging this organization, please, hear the people who are speaking and who need to be heard. And I'm sorry that I'm crying, I'm a fucking mess. Anyway, I believe in happily ever afters, and this is my happily ever after, so thank you so much.
The New York Times USA Today bestseller author of more than 25 sizzling emotion romances. Our next presenter is known for writing survivors from all walks of life and aims to tell the stories her readers need to hear, because everyone deserves a happily ever after. Please welcome the winner of the 2018 Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Long, Lexi Ryan.
This is the part of the program where I get to talk about length. The contemporary romance long category is all about the thickness of the book. How hard authors work to keep us engaged. And how well they deliver that perfect climax. From Rochelle Allers to Nora Roberts, Anne Allen Shockley to Jennifer Cruzy, the rock stars of this category have shown us that no matter what our present-day circumstances, love is about the long game. Tonight's finalists have the honor of joining a list of talented writers whose stamina never fails to satisfy. The finalists for the Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Long are Bad Bachelor by Stephanie London, Sourcebooks Casablanca, Kat Klein, editor. Best of Luck by Kate Claiborne. Kensington Publishing Corp., Lyrical Press, Shine, S.E. Soga, editor. The Heartless Boyfriend by Erica Kelly. Self-published, Sharon Cochran, editor. Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Self-published, Lauren Clark, editor. Luck of the Draw by Kate Claiborne. Kensington Publishing Corp., Lyrical Press, Shine, S.E. Soga, editor. Melt for You by J.T. Gessinger. Amazon Montlake Romance, Maria Gomez, editor. A Tall, Dark Cowboy Christmas by Macy Yates. Harlequin HQN, Allison Carroll, editor. And the Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Long goes to Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan.
I just deleted my whole speech. I did. But I remember enough of it to get through this. First of all, gosh, I'm up here after freaking J.R. Ward. What in the world? I'm trembling. Before I start, I'm going to try not to cry. I really had all of this written down, and I literally just erased it. Maybe that means God wanted me to speak from my heart. First of all, thank you to Sarah for the ramp up and acknowledging kind of the elephant in the room we all know. For me to stand here in this moment, it's so much bigger than me. I think everybody knows that. It's so much bigger than my book. It's so much bigger than my night. It's 37 years waiting for someone who looked like me to stand here. It is spectacularly overdue, and at the same time, as I'm so incredibly honored, thank you to the board who's working so hard to make things better. We appreciate that, and we won't stop asking, we won't stop demanding, we won't stop agitating until everybody is represented. Thank you for all that you're doing. I promise I'm almost done. And I want to thank the pioneers, the trailblazers that she referenced, people who did not have a roadmap in this industry. People like Brenda Jackson, people like Beverly Jenkins, people like Vivian. They didn't even have a roadmap, and they have laid the steps for people like me, people like Nana Malone, people like Alyssa Cole, all the women who are grinding right now, women of color, to make sure that our stories are told. So this moment's just so much bigger than I am, and I'm so nervous, but I had to say that. I'm just so honored to stand here. And as for the book Long Shot, I just want to say I wanted to tell a story for women who had been through hell who deserved a happily ever after. And there were so many survivors I spoke to. Literally, we were on the phone sobbing because I had my own biases before I went into a book about domestic abuse. The first time anybody hits me, I'm out. Why would they stay? And talking with these women about the complexity of their situations and the hell they went through, and then to see them come out on the other side, I wanted specifically, I had maybe 10, 15 survivors who helped me with this book, but there were two, and I dedicate this award to them, Paula and Natalie. Paula and Natalie, who read with me, who shared the darkest chapters of their lives, reopened the darkest chapters of their lives so that we could get this as right as possible. This is your award just as much. You guys know you went through hell, you got a happily ever after, and I pray that you continue to do so. I want to thank my husband, and then I'll get off of this stage. Really, it would have been shorter if I hadn't deleted my speech. I promise. Sam, my husband, I just want to thank you for being the best friend I've ever had, and for in 22 years walking through the darkest parts of my life and loving me harder, for never expecting me to fit into a box, but always demanding that I dream. And you are just the best friend I've ever had. Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. I love you so much. And thank God, because I truly believe that writing for me is not just a vocation, it's a calling, and I'm going to keep on doing it. Thank you guys so much.
Please welcome romance legend Sandra Kitt.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. How about another congratulations for Kennedy Ryan, another trailblazer. In the early 1980s, the category romance burst into the scene, capitalizing on the popularity and burgeoning growth of romances in the United States. Despite the publishing universe belittling the genre, the popularity of the romance novel could not be denied. Money talks. I came into this publishing change in 1982. I'd written my first novel in 1981, but went on to complete 3 novels before attempting to find a publisher who might be interested in my stories. Enter Vivian Stevens, an African-American editor who, before she founded RWA, was hired by Harlequin to set up new offices in New York. Vivian had been a highly successful editor for Candlelight Romance, where she published the first romance written by an African-American woman about African-American characters, Elsie Washington's Entwined Destinies. I made a cold call to Vivian announcing that I had written 3 books that I believed might interest her for the American romance line. She invited me to her still unfurnished and still unstaffed office for a 2-hour tutorial on publishing, romance, and what she was looking for in stories. At the end of the meeting, she asked me to send her 2 of my 3 manuscripts. 10 days later, she called offering me a contract. In 1984, those books were published, making me, as I was to find out only after the fact, the first African American to publish with Harlequin. I was the first in many arenas in those days. It was heady, it was great fun, and in its own way, very magical. It afforded me the privilege of being in on the new starts, the first, the tryouts, and launching the first African-American imprint, Arabesque, thereby cementing a place for myself in publishing history. I met incredibly supportive editors and publishers in the field, count numerous authors as good friends, and built a career that I can be proud of. Along the way, I bore witness to some aspects of the business that were bewildering and alarmingly negative on every level. One of my great lessons, however, was to learn how the rules were played and how to change them if need be to make them work for me. To choose my battles, and just as important, to fully understand what I could control and what I did not. Vivian Stevens had a clear and forward-thinking idea of what romance is, what women want to read, and how to bring the genre always into the future. Again, it's about change, about the anticipation of the future and the evolving world and infinite new story ideas. Romances have always been the avatars of those visions, those changes. It's hard, messy, and it takes a long time. But we managed to get there, and we managed to survive. There is compromise, pushback, and entrenched attitudes that are difficult to overcome. But we do overcome them because, to be blunt, we have no other choice. If we can't change with the world as it exists, we are doomed to be left behind, and we will fail. I could not have envisioned the way stories in the genre and subgenres would come into being, or how it would also change us, the readers and the writers. But I do know this, like death and taxes, change is inevitable. And that's a good thing to keep in mind. Learn to accept it. Learn to work with it. Learn to think out of the box. Learn to be curious about what you don't know. And most of all, learn that there are millions of stories unlike your own. That's why we're writers, to find the innovative way to be inclusive and to tell those stories. We all have a voice that's unique. As authors, no one can tell the stories that you have within you. We all deserve to be able to tell those stories, to hear them, and to read them. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a New York Times best-selling author who learned what love is when her now husband wrote and mailed a letter to her every day during this summer after their freshman year in college. Here to present the Rita for Best Young Adult Romance is two-time Rita winner Pen Tip Dunn. Our next presenter is a New York Times best-selling author who learned what love is when her now husband wrote and mailed a letter to her every day during this summer after their freshman year in college. Here to present the Rita for Best Young Adult Romance is two-time Rita winner Pen Tip Dunn.
If there is one thing we've learned from young adult romance, it's that the possibilities are endless. From Judy Blume's Forever to Nancy Garden's trailblazing LGBTQ love story, Annie on My Mind, the genre has been pushing boundaries since its inception. And our Netflix and chill nights became a little bit more interesting last year when Jenny Han's To All the Boys I've Loved Before featuring a biracial Korean heroine came to life on screen. Tonight, we celebrate stories that move us in the direction of a bigger goal, ensuring that we build a generation of lifelong romance readers who see themselves reflected on the page, expanding our understanding of who we are, who we might love, and just how far we'll go to get it. Here are the finalists for Best Young Adult Romance. Cry Baby by Ginger Scott. Self-published, Billy Joy Carson, editor. My So-Called Bollywood Life. By Nisha Sharma, Crown Books for Young Readers, Phoebe Ye, editor. Not If I Save You First by Ali Carter. Scholastic, David Levithan, editor. And the Rita for Best Young Adult Romance goes to My So-Called Bollywood Life by Nisha Sharma.
I just followed Sandra Kitt. I don't know the next time I'm going to be up here, so I'm gonna take a moment. 10 years ago, I came to my first RWA, and I was this poor law student, and I voiced my heart's desire that I wanted to be up here for the YA category. To get here, though, I have to thank, I can't stop crying. I have to thank RWA for being a part of my writing journey from the very beginning. Thank you also to the other nominees. I'm in incredible company. And to each and every one of you who voted for My So-Called Bollywood Life and who proved three things. One, that contemporary rom-coms about two South Asians can sell. Two, that non-South Asians can connect with the story that has a heroine from a background unlike their own. And three, that love stories transcend the differences and can act as a common thread that unite us all, as long as we're willing to set aside our biases to see it. There are a few more people that I really want to thank for helping me get here. The first is to Shirley Hailstock, who honestly didn't know that I was going to thank her until like a couple months ago when she was like, "This is nice, thanks." I was 16 when I found out about RWA, and I had emailed the then president, Shirley, and asked her if she could make an exception to the 18-year and older rule. And she didn't. But she did give me the most encouraging email I have ever received, and that has set the tone for me with this organization from that point on. I also want to thank the former members of the Pocono Lehigh Valley Romance Writers. It's a now closed chapter, but I firmly believe that inclusion starts with the chapters. And these women were so incredible to me when I was a poor college student and I joined. And I still think of them every time I start a new book. Thank you also to the members of the New Jersey Romance Writers chapter, who was my home chapter during and after law school, and who have supported me for so many years. To my Daisy Writing Sisters, who are table 63, thank you for being my incredible support network. I didn't know I know that sometimes it's frustrating how people call us by each other's names sometimes because they don't take the time to get to know us. But I'm always grateful to be in your company and to be confused as Sonali or Alicia or Falcone. I also want to thank Phoebe at Crown for believing me, but also especially Elle at Avon. Thank you for being my friend while I was working on Bollywood Life for 4 damn years, and for then becoming my editor. No matter where my career goes, I know that I'll always have to thank you for being a part of my journey. And of course, to my husband, my Alaskan born and raised small town brown hero. I'm grateful every day that we were both victims to an Indian matrimonial site, and you didn't even bat an eye when I responded to your message, "Hey, can you text me? My mom reads these." So I started 10 years ago at an RWA conference, voicing my heart's desire, and today I'm going to do it again in front of all of you. Take a good look at me, guys. I'm voicing my heart's desire again. I'm Nisha Sharma, and I'm here to stay. Thank you.
Our next presenter crossed the Atlantic to be at her first RWA conference last year and was grateful for all the RWA love and the Rita she received when she arrived. When she isn't writing Regency romances, she volunteers with a women's charity focusing on pregnancy and birth. Here to present the Rita for Best Short Historical Romance is last year's winner, Catherine Tenley.
The history of historical romance is the history of Beverly Jenkins's evocative stories of the American West, of Jeannie Lin's epic love stories in Tang Dynasty China, of E.E. Ottoman's brilliant 19th century heroes, of Bertrice Small's incomparable 16th century lady pirate, and of Eva Rutland, the blind African-American author of Matched Pair, Harlequin Regency No. 1 in 1989. From the genre's earliest days, historical romance has captivated readers by showing us that love is for everyone, past, present, and future. The finalists for this year's Rita for Best Historical Romance Short are The Devil to Pay by K.C. Bateman, self-published. A Duke in the Night by Kelly Bowen, Grand Central Publishing, forever Alex Logan, editor. Hell's Bell by Annabelle Anders, self-published. Never Dare a Wicked Earl by Renee Ann Miller, Kensington Publishing Corps, Zebra Shout, Essie Soga, editor. What Ails the Earl by Sally Mackenzie, Kensington Publishing Corps, Zebra, Essie Soga, editor. With Love in Sight by Christina Britton, Diversion Books, Eliza Kirby and Mallory Soto, editors. And the Rita for Historical Romance Short goes to A Duke in the Night by Kelly Bowen.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to the winners already. I am a huge fan, and I just want to express my congratulations. This is an honor to be standing up here, and I have a few thank yous that I'd like to share. First to the board, but more almost importantly to all of those who have shared their hearts and experiences working towards a common goal to make these awards and this entire community more inclusive. So thank you very much for that. To my editor, Alex Logan, thank you for being very good at your job. To the entire Forever family, thank you for all the behind-the-scenes work you do on my behalf. Each book is a team effort, and I am lucky to have such a great team behind me. To my agent, Stephanie Lieberman, thank you for your encouragement and insights. And of course, to my family, thank you for supporting my dreams and being my biggest fan. There's one more thank you that I'd like to share for this book. The dedication inside this book reads, to all the strong women in my life who have gifted me with the courage to believe I always could. And if you've read my books, you know I write very forward-thinking historical heroines, this book in particular, but each of those women has been inspired by real-life women who dared in a time when they shouldn't or couldn't because of their gender. I was a research scientist before I became a writer, and not once did I ever consider that I shouldn't or couldn't chase either of those ambitions because I was a woman. And that is not something that I ever take for granted. So I just want to say thank you to those women who came before me from the pages of the history books and from the circle of my own family and my colleagues and my friends. Their ambitions and dreams made it possible for me to realize my own, made it possible for me to be standing here. So thank you very much.
Kelly is much too modest to mention that this is a three-peat win for her, so I'm very excited. Congratulations, Kelly. So just on behalf of myself, the honor of working with her and Grand Central and Forever, thank you for joining and being with us, Kelly.
this week, the RWA recognized outstanding manuscripts written by our members who have not yet published a novel or novella. The winners of this year's Golden Heart Awards are, in contemporary romance, Never Have I Ever by Rosie Dannon. In contemporary romance short, Love on the Books by Betsy Gray. In historical romance, Tempting the Heiress by Emily Sullivan. In mainstream fiction with a central romance, Everything Comes Back to You by Melissa Wisner. In paranormal romance, Bless Your Heart and Other Southern Curses by Heather Leonard. In romance with religious or spiritual elements, The Promise of Spring by Martha Hutchins. In romantic suspense, The Hustler by Angie Hockman. In young adult romance, Dragged by Susan Lee. If you are one of these wonderful writers, please stand so we can give you your well-deserved applause.
One of today's most prolific and popular African-American authors of romance and women's fiction, our next presenter has more than 80 titles and nearly 2 million copies of her novels in print, is regularly chosen by Black Expressions Book Club, and has been the recipient of numerous awards, including the Gold Pen Award, the Emma Award, the Vivian Stevens Award for Excellence in Romance Writing, the Romantic Times Career Achievement Award, and the Zora Neale Hurston Literary Award. Please welcome Rochelle Allers.
Thank you. I'm going to read the nominees for contemporary romance mid-length, okay? Got it, didn't you? Mine's in the gutter. If discovering a stranger in your secluded cabin getaway leads to happily ever after and not arrest, you might be in a romance novel. If your biological clock is ticking and there's an NFL player just waiting to take care of that, you're in a romance novel. If you are down on your luck barista with a half-calf, no-whip billionaire regular, you might be in a romance novel. From Frances Ray's Forever Yours to Elin Harris's Invisible Life, Brenda Jackson's Westmorelands to Bella Andre Sullivan's contemporary romance has been bending the plausible for decades, delivering love and passion, no matter how extraordinary the meet-cute. The finalists for the 2019 Rita Awards in Contemporary Romance Mid-Length are Advanced Physical Chemistry by Susanna Nix, self-published, Julia Gannis, editor. Celebrity Spin Doctor by Celia Mulder, Inkspell Publishing, Audrey Boback, editor. Give and Take by Lee Kilrain, Kensington Publishing Corp., Lyrical Press, Caress, Essie Sogat, editor. Knocked Up Cinderella by Julie Hammerly, Entangled Publishing, LLC, August, Stacey Abrams and Kate Barney, editors. Lennon Reborn by Scarlett Cole, St. Martin's Press, Swerve, Alexandra Scholzlister. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Editor, excuse me if I did. Loving a Warrior by Melanie Hanson, Harlequin, Carina Press, Alyssa Davis, editor. Part-Time Husband by Noel Adams. Why do I mess up these people's names? Self-published, Victory Editing, editor. Relay by Layla Rain, self-published, Christy Yanta, editor. Sergeant Sexy Pants by Twana Fensky, self-published, Susan Biscoff, editor. Sleepover by Serena Bell, Penguin Random House, Love Sweat, Sue Grimshaw, editor. For mid-list, I had a long list. And the Rita goes to Advanced Chemistry by Susanna Nix.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting this, and hold on. I hope I don't delete my speech like Kennedy. Okay, I can't believe I'm standing here with all the talent that's been standing here tonight. This is amazing. I have to start by thanking my kind, supportive, and devastatingly handsome husband of 26 years for always being my #1 fan and for showing me what a real happy ever after looks like. Thank you to my incredible editor, Julia Ganis, who always knows exactly when to step in and save me from myself. Every writer should be blessed with an editor they trust as much as I trust Julia. I also need to give a shout out to Melanie Green, who's out there somewhere, for dragging me to my first RWA meeting 3 years ago. I didn't join the local chapter then. I did join the national organization, but it was only this year that I worked up the courage to start attending my local chapter meetings regularly. And this is my first time at the national conference. I felt so welcomed by everyone I've gotten to know through RWA, walking through the halls in this hotel and navigating the hellacious elevators. You can actually feel the love and enthusiasm hanging in the air. My wish going forward is that one day, very soon, everyone who wants that feeling has access to it and is embraced by the same sense of belonging that I've been lucky enough to experience this week. Thank you.
Our next presenters have spent most of the past 20 years together as husbands and more recently as authors and podcasters. They co-authored the 2018 release, The Hockey Player's Heart, and they host the weekly Big Gay Fiction podcast. Please welcome Jeff Adams and Will Knaus.
When it comes to romantic suspense, our favorite authors always keep us guessing. But there's one thing fans of this category know for sure.
In the face of disaster, be it serial killer, terrorist attack, or a run-of-the-mill stalker, there's always time for a quickie.
From Donna Hill's savvy and sexy heroines who find love, even while shrouded in intrigue, to Suzanne Brockman's LGBTQ+ badass heroes who made us cheer for their happily ever afters.
Romantic suspense delivers chills, thrills, and a love more powerful than anything life can throw at us.
Here are the finalists for Best Romantic Suspense. The Bastard's Bargain by Katie Robert. Grand Central Publishing Forever, Leah Holtenschmidt, editor.
Before We Were Strangers by Brenda Novak. Harlequin Mira, Emily Ohana-Janias, editor.
Consumed by J.R. Ward. Simon & Schuster, Gallery Books, Lauren McKenna, editor.
Cut and Run by Mary Burton. Amazon Montlake Romance, Allison Dashow and Charlotte Hersher, editors.
Fearless by Elizabeth Dyer, self-published.
Reckless Honor by Tanya Burrows. Entangled Publishing, Amira. I just had a brain fade. Heather Howland, editor.
Relentless by Elizabeth Dyer. Amazon Montlake Romance, Allison Dashow, editor.
And the Rita for Best Romantic Suspense goes to Fearless by Elizabeth Dyer, self-published.
Okay, well, I did not expect to be up here, so my notes are kind of bad. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much to RWA and the very warm welcome I've received. This is my third conference overall, and they've been greatly spaced out over the years. I actually attended my very first conference in this hotel 10 years ago, and I sat right up there over on the left and thought, God, I hope that's me someday. And after 10 very difficult years with a lot of setbacks and a lot of failures, it finally is. And so I have quite a long list of people to thank, starting with Kelly Ireland, who has been there for me from the very beginning and who helped me conceive the idea for this series on one very quick train ride into the evil day job one morning. I have to thank Louise Bay and Jessica Hawkins, who have been inviting me into their books as a critique partner and an editor for years now, and though I know I can be difficult sometimes, they have made my books and my writing so much better by letting me help them, and I am forever grateful for that. I have to thank my person, Rachel Goodman, who has been with me through every single up and down, and I met her through writing, and it's just been the greatest friendship, and I'm so grateful for all of her support. And Kate Nolan, who I haven't known nearly as long, but is 110% the reason I am standing up here, as I had zero intention of entering the Ritas this year until she slid into my DMs and told me I had to. She was the first perfect stranger to ever reach out to me, and I am so grateful to count her as a friend now. I hope that I will be a part of this organization for a very long time to come. And I want to say that this is such a magical moment for me. It's so hard worked and so hard won. But magical moments are a lot like HEAs and love. They don't really count until they're available to everybody. And so I hope very soon everybody who wants to be standing up here has the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Please welcome trailblazing romance author Radcliffe.
Thank you. Thank you, good evening, and congratulations to all the Rita finalists, past, present, and future. Romance fiction has been one of the fundamental formative elements of my life. As long as I can remember, from the time I could read, I gravitated toward romance novels. I learned about the relationships humans crave, about love, desire, honor, and dignity, through reading stories about people who loved with a singular grand passion. I learned that love, above all human emotions, could help us heal our deepest wounds. Many of those authors whose stories touched my life are in this room tonight and have been honored on this very stage. But the authors who spoke to me most deeply, those whose voices spoke to the reality of my life, have not been heard here. Those authors who wrote about love between two men and two women, whose words created hope and pride and affirmation, as well as role models for me as an author, have remained invisible. Anne Allen Shockley's Loving Her in 1974, and Say Jesus and Come to Me 8 years later, the first romances by an African-American author to depict love between African-American women. Gordon Merrick's 1970s popular romance trilogy, the earliest to celebrate a lifelong love between two young college men. These were among the authors whose voices comforted me and gave me the hope that I too could find love. When I began writing in the 1980s and published my first romance, Safe Harbor, nearly 20 years ago, I never considered writing anything other than lesbian romances. Lesbian romances had literally saved my life by showing me the path from a place of guilt and quiet desperation to one of strength and pride in being myself. I cannot imagine writing anything other than stories about women loving women in the hopes that I can give to one single reader the gift I received from the authors before me. For marginalized people, for the queer teenagers who fear they are the only ones who feel what they feel and who too often bear the brunt of physical and emotional abuse, for the LGBTQ people in countries where expressing their same-sex love can result in imprisonment or death, for the queer person in this room tonight who still feels the stigma of difference, our romances are life-giving. Our romances, all of our romances, speak to what is best and most noble in the human character. That's what we as romance authors, each of us, bring to the world, hope above all else. This organization was begun so the voices of romance authors could be heard. Our voices are many and varied, and every voice contributes to the power of our message. It's my honor and privilege to be part of the romance writing community and to be among the writers in this room who voice the stories of love, community, and dreams come true. Thank you.
After the sale of the entire print run of her debut novel, 7-year-old Jay Kenner knew she wanted to be an author, even if her parents would be her only readers. So she took the direct route, followed by many in the romance community, and went to law school. In her 20-year career, she has written everything from talking ferrets to demon-hunting soccer moms to commanding sexy billionaires. Not in the same book, though. At least, not yet. Please welcome Jay Kenner.
From Zane's unapologetically carnal novels to the emotionally charged kink of authors like Eve Vaughn and Alexis Hall, erotic romance celebrates and values desire for all who want it, with stories that are diverse, inclusive, and affirming. Books in this category may raise a few eyebrows. Erotic romance challenges boundaries and creates friction wherever it goes. But as these nominated romances can attest, sometimes friction is a very good thing. The finalists for Best Erotic Romance are Picture Perfect Cowboy by Tiffany Rice, 8th Circle Press. Sinful Games by Shelley Alexander, self-published. Three-Way Split by Aaliyah Winters, Entangled Publishing, LLC Scorched. Tara Kuskaden, editor. Total Exposure by J.A. Huss, self-published, R.J. Loxley, editor. And the Rita for Best Erotic Romance goes to Three-Way Split by Aaliyah Winters.
Oh, thanks to my friends texting me while I'm trying to read my speech. Oh, they say don't lock your knees or you'll pass out. This is such an honor. I'd like to thank RWA and the folks at Entangled Publishing. My wonderful editor, Tara Kuskaden, you believed in and fought for this book from the beginning. My agent, Saritza Hernandez, you've been by my side and on my side since the start of my career. Your unwavering faith in me has taken me through the darkest writing days when I thought this book would never sell. My loving husband, Chris, thanks for believing I can do whatever I set out to do and reminding me of that when I forget. Crystal, thanks for being a voice of reason and hope. My writing buddies, Amanda and Ray, thank you for being there and being here tonight in support. Laura, for her support, all my friends watching and cheering at home. My family, especially my mom, for nurturing my love of reading and writing. I'm not sorry for sneaking all her romance novels in middle school to read the sex scenes. I also want to say how much I love Romancelandia. We engage with complex issues fraught with contradictions. I'm conscious of the contradictions inherent in standing here on this stage, so gratified and humbled by this award, while simultaneously acknowledging that other queer people, people of color, and especially Black women have been denied this same opportunity by our failure to adequately respond to racism and prejudice in our community. I'm hopeful about the steps RWA is taking to improve, grateful for the work Helen K. Diamond and the rest of the board have done so far. And most of all, I look forward to the day when the Ritas celebrate the best in our genre without exception. Thank you. Finally, I want to say that when the world is filled with despair, love is a radical act. Romance celebrates hope, and what we do matters. Everyone deserves their happily ever after. Thank you.
I just want to echo everything that Elia said. Perfection. Thank you, RWA, and thank you so much for choosing me. Thank you.
Our next presenter writes sexy, thought-provoking romance that explores the human condition while proving love transcends societal cliches. Her characters are strong, witty, and prove that diversity is beautiful. When she's not writing, she's living out her personal happily ever after by rocking the stands for her volleyball star, cheering on her future MLB slugger, or celebrating date night with her hubby. Please welcome the president of the Cultural, Interracial, and Multicultural Special Interest Chapter of Romance Writers of America, C. Chalove.
We all know good things come in small packages, but over the last few years, novellas have shown that powerful statements can also be made in stories with less than 40,000 words. What once started as a reader gift and a holiday stalwart has transformed into a change maker, a way to fight the good fight. From recent anthologies celebrating Black suffragettes to rogues for resistance, from men in uniform to cocktails raising money for RWA legal fund. Novellas prove that size absolutely doesn't matter. The Rita finalists for Best Romance Novella are Bad Blood by M. Malone, self-published, Angela Ramey, editor. Catching Irish by Katie Rainery, self-published, Tessa Shapcott, editor. Dragon Lord by Dana Martin, self-published, Diane Flint and Linda Ingmanson, editors. The Dragons of Summer by Jeffy Kennedy in Seasons of Sorcery, self-published. Lead Counsel by Aurora Ray and The Boss of Her, Office Romance Novellas, Bold Strokes Books Incorporated, Ashley Tillman, editor. Loving the Secret Billionaire by Adriana Anders, self-published, Kim Cannon and Nancy Smay, editors. Saved by the Cowboy by A.J. Pine, Grand Central Publishing, Forever Yours, Madeline Calavita, editor. And the Rita for the Best Romance Novella goes to I'm trying to get it out. The Rita goes to Bad Blood by M. Malone.
Wow. I am still crying after listening to Kennedy, so I'm going to try to get through this. When I discovered RWA in 2004, it seemed like fate. Now, this was before that I knew writing was actually a career, instead of something magical reserved for a select few. But all the signs were there.
We were both born in December of 1980 to women named Vivian who loved literature. However, like most relationships, the honeymoon period only lasted for so long. It was a lot of work. I made and lost friends. I got and lost contracts. And somewhere along the way, I forgot why I used to think romance was so magical. But this award season has reminded me of what I've always loved about this genre. Fierce, proud women having the audacity to write about their hopes and dreams instead of what they were told they should have. And writing not just about the way things are, but about how we want them to be. Now, this is the part where I thank my husband and my kids and my dog and my best friend, Nana Malone, who has dragged me to the finish line of several books. But I don't really feel that I need to thank them because I know they know I can't do this without them. Who I do want to thank are all of the fierce, proud, loud members who have used their voices to speak up for what they believe in, and for giving me a much-needed reminder that the thing that makes romance so magical isn't just the words on the paper, it's all of us. Thank you.
Please welcome the President of Romance Writers of America, Helen K. Diamond, and the President-elect of Romance Writers of America, Carolyn Jewell.
Good evening, I'm Helen K. Diamond.
I'm Carolyn Jewell.
We wanted to thank all of you who are here and all who are following along for showing your support of your fellow RWA members. We also wanted to say congratulations to the finalists for their extraordinary achievements this year. And also to give a special thanks to the awards ceremony committee, our emcee, Sarah MacLean, and the group of writers Sarah put together to put together this presentation this evening. It is both thoughtful and celebratory. It recognizes our finalists, our trailblazers, and our genre. And tonight, I think we've been reminded of who we are and how great we can be when we come together as a community and welcome all members, not just members that look like the two of us. We are very proud of all of our finalists, but we did want to recognize that this evening, something extraordinary happened, which should not be extraordinary. It should not have taken to 2019 for us to have our first Black Author Rita winner. That Kennedy Ryan and M. Malone managed to do that against all odds is extraordinary. And it is our hope that that will usher in a new day in both the Ritas and RWA. Thank you.
The next presenter is the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author of 20 books. She is a justice of the peace and has married dozens of couples, old, young, gay, straight, trans, and gender fluid, firmly believing that everyone has the right to marry whomever they love. Here to present the award for mainstream fiction with a central romance, please welcome last year's winner, Kristen Higgins.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the winners so far. For decades, romance has enhanced mainstream fiction, ensuring that happily ever after finds its way into every corner of the literary world. Whether we were cringing at Bridget writing in her diary, clinging to the landline alongside Georgie McCool, cheering as Stella got her groove back, or holding our breath as Claire passed through the stones at Craik na Dun, we all learned an important lesson, that books are better with kissing in them. With that in mind, here are the finalists for the Rita for mainstream fiction with a central romance. 5 Years Gone by Marie Force, HJTB Inc., Linda Igmanson and Joyce Lamb, editors. A Girl Divided by Ellen Linseth, Amazon Lake Union, Christopher Werner, editor. How to Keep a Secret by Sarah Morgan, Harlequin HQN, Flo Nickel, editor. Mornings on Main by Jody Thomas, Harlequin HQN, Brittany Lavery, editor. And the Rita for mainstream fiction with a central romance goes to Sarah Morgan, How to Keep a Secret, Harlequin HQN, Flo Nickel, editor.
I didn't dare do it on my phone because I knew I'd delete it. But then I had to remember my glasses or I can't even see it. I love your t-shirt. Okay, thank you, RWA. I feel really fortunate to be up here. I know there are many amazing books and talented authors who could have been standing here tonight. And I'm grateful to Helen Kay and the whole of the board for working so diligently to try and find ways to make the award truly inclusive. Thank you to my publisher, HQN Books and HQ Stories in the UK. So grateful to you, to my agent, Susan Ginsberg, who's been one of the best things that's happened to my career, to my absolutely wonderful editor, Flo. She's the best, definitely, thing that's happened to my career. You're the best of the best. Thank you. This book was special to me, not just because it was my very first mainstream, because as well as a romance, it focused particularly on the relationship between sisters. My sister was 4 years old when I was born, so she had 4 years of blissful peace before I arrived. I, on the other hand, have never known a world without her, and I really wouldn't want to. She's been there for me through thick and thin, and we've had plenty of both. When I was 9 years old, my pet hamster escaped on April Fool's Day. This is not good. And everybody thought this was a brilliant joke. My sister was the one person who believed me and helped me hunt it down. We did find it. It was my sister who was the second person I told when I first sold my book. My first was my husband. And when we call each other, my husband knows that he's probably got time for a quick trip to Scotland because we're always on the phone for hours. So this is my chance to thank her publicly for all the time she's been there for me, and to say thank you for the time she didn't complain when I dragged her eyelids open on Christmas morning to just see if she was awake yet. So this book's dedicated to her, and thank you.
Sarah and I have been lucky enough to work together on many special books, but as she says, this one really was a particular delight. So you know how much I love working with you. We're so proud to publish you, and thank you, RWA, from everyone at Harlequin for this recognition.
Our next presenter is a USA Today best-selling author who believes love transcends all else and cherishes living in a world of happily ever afters. Having found her own dream hero, who happens to be an inspiration for her stories, she's made it her life goal to bring tales of love and hope to readers around the world. Here to present the Rita for Best Historical Romance Long is Eliza Knight.
I literally told everyone who would listen that I was going to fall up these stairs, and I just did that. So, that's it. If you're a wallflower looking for a quick deflowering to escape an arranged marriage, don't worry, there's a duke for that. If you're a governess trying to save your younger siblings from poverty, don't worry, there's a duke for that. If you're a younger son without means looking for love and land, don't worry, there's also a duke for that. Tonight's finalists for Historical Romance Long, with not a single duke among them, are An Earl Like You by Caroline Linden, HarperCollins, Avon Books, Lissa Kirsch, editor. Lady in Waiting by Marie Tremaine, HarperCollins, Avon Impulse, L. Keck, editor. A Scandalous Deal by Joanna Shoup, HarperCollins, Avon Books, Tessa Woodward, editor. A Wicked Kind of Husband by Mia Vinci, self-published. And the Rita for Best Historical Romance Long goes to A Wicked Kind of Husband by Mia Vinci.
Nothing to deserve this. I'm not her. I'm Mia Vinci's agent, Emily Sullivan Kim, and thank you on behalf of Mia. I'm going to read a little speech that she wrote. Thank you to RWA, to all the romance writers whose novels brought me joy and inspiration, to all the readers who gave my book a try and whose love of romance keeps us going, to my agent, to my writer groups, and to everyone who has supported me on my way here. It's 25 years since I started on this road. And with my first rejected submission to a romance publisher, it has been a long and tricky journey, with lots of detours, but definitely worth the effort. And I hope in the future, all writers will have the same chance to tell their stories too. Thank you.
Thank you. The charge of this evening is to celebrate the very best of this vast, wonderful genre. And with that in mind, please join us in honoring those romance novels published in the last year that received acclaim beyond the Rita.
A two-time Golden Heart finalist, she writes Closed Door, but believes the doors of opportunity and romance must be open to all. Author of the Home to Milford College and Migration of the Heart series, here to present the Rita for Best Romance with Religious or Spiritual Elements is Piper Hewley.
In 1979, Jeanette Oak's Love Comes Softly was published, launching the modern inspirational romance genre. From Jeanette Oak to Francine Rivers to Sharon Ewell Foster, who was a double Rita finalist for the first Own Voices inspirational romance by a Black woman called Passing by Samaria. The authors of romance with religious or spiritual elements have delighted and inspired readers for decades, all through the power of love. The finalists for the Rita for romance with religious or spiritual elements are Home on Huckleberry Hill by Jennifer Beckstrand, Kensington Publishing Corporation, Bouquet, John Scolanamio, editor. A Mother for His Family by Suzanne Deeps. Harlequin love-inspired historical, Emily Rodmell, editor. The Saturday Night Supper Club by Carla Laureano, Tyndale House Publishers, Sarah Reish, and Jan Stube, editors. Their Amish Reunion by Lenora Worth, Harlequin, love-inspired, Patience Bloom, editor. And the Rita for Best Romance with Religious or Spiritual Elements goes to The Saturday Night Supper Club by Carla Laureano, Tyndale House Publishers, Sarah Reish, and Jan Stube, editors.
Thank you so much for this honor. I have a list of people I'd like to thank, but first I want to tell a story, if I can manage not to cry first. I published my first book 6 years ago while I was writing for 2 different publishers in 2 different genres. That debut went on to win a Rita Award, and I took that as a sign that after 15 years of trying and failing to get published, that I'd finally made it. Then both my publishers restructured their fiction programs, and I got dropped from both lines. So I put together a proposal, and no one wanted it. By that point, I was tired, and I was burnt out, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to continue writing. And then my agent got a call from the fiction director at Tyndale House, and she didn't want the proposal either. But she liked me and my writing, and she wanted to know what else I had. And at the time, the Saturday Night Supper Club was just a premise and a title, but she loved it. And the process of publishing it has been the best experience of my career so far. I share this because on nights like tonight, we only hear the successes. But there are some of you who are mourning a line closure or worried about declining sales or thinking about giving up the hope of ever getting published at all. I want to say to you that there's nothing in this business that's a career ender other than giving up. If you're here, it's because there's a story inside you that needs to be told. And I've learned that the very moment we want to give up is so often the moment right before our breakthrough. So hold tight to your dreams, continue working hard, and be encouraged that every single one of us up here has a similar story. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone who made this book possible, especially my lovely editors, Jan Staub and Sarah Rishi, who helped turn this book from an idea into something I'm truly proud of. The rest of my Tyndale team, particularly Karen Watson, Amanda Woods, and Kristen Magnuson. And my agent, Steve Lobby, who believes in me even when I don't. And I don't want to do this without you, Steve, so that means you can never retire. My Facebook Messenger crew, Brandy Valance, Evangeline Denmark, Lori Twitchell, Amberlynn Perry, and Elizabeth Yance. You guys keep me sane, at least relatively speaking. My husband Ray, my sons Nathan and Preston, and my mom and dad, thank you for supporting me in this crazy publishing journey. And most importantly, my Heavenly Father, who must have a purpose in helping me write these books, because I promise you, I am not this good on my own. Thank you.
Our next presenter is an author who finds inspiration in everyday acts, big and small, that show love is the most powerful force in the world. Here to present the Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Short is last year's winner, Kate Nolan.
I'd be willing to bet that many people in this room found their first batch of romances in a grocery bag in the back of a relative's closet. Inside, you may have found Entwined Destinies by L.C.B. Washington, writing as Rosalind Wells, the first category romance featuring black main characters written by a black writer. Or maybe it included Golden Fire, Silver Ice by Marisa de Zavala, the first Latinx-owned voices contemporary romance. Or maybe you found Lorna Michaels' Seasons of Light, the first owned voices contemporary romance featuring Jewish characters. Regardless of what that bag contained, you fell in love quickly. Otherwise, you might not be sitting here tonight. The finalists for the Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Short are A Baby to Bind His Bride by Caitlin Cruz, Harlequin Presents, Megan Haslam, editor. The Bachelor's Baby Surprise by Terry Wilson, Harlequin Special Edition. Gail Chasen, editor. The Captain's Vegas Vows by Caro Carson, Harlequin Special Edition, Gail Chasen, editor. Claim Me Cowboy by Macy Yates, Harlequin Desire, Stacy Boyd, editor. Fair Game by Amy Andrews, Harlequin Escape Publishing, Kate Cuthbert, editor. A Fool and His Manny by Amy Lane, Dreamspinner Press, Dreamspun Desire, and Reagan, editor. The Million Pound Marriage Deal by Michelle Douglas, Harlequin, Mills and Boone, romance, Brian E. Green, editor. A Safe Place to Land by D. Ernst, 235 Alexander Street, Shirley Jump, editor. Tanner's Promise by Kaylee Newell, Thule Publishing, Montana born, Sinclair Sawney, editor. And the Rita for Best Contemporary Romance Short goes to The Bachelor's Baby Surprise by Terry Wilson.
I feel like Janice on Friends. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Thank you so much to RWA. And first, I want to say how much I respect and admire all the amazing women who are finalists in this category. I've fangirled over pretty much all of you at one time or another, sometimes to your face and other times behind your back. Like the time I texted a selfie of myself with Maisie Yates to my son's then girlfriend, and she texted me back saying, OMG, Maisie Yates, I love her, in all caps. And then 5 full minutes later, she texted me again and said, I mean, you're great too. It was an honor to be a finalist with all 8 of you, especially Caro Carson, my friend and special edition sister, and her book is so good, you guys. I want you all to read it. I also want to thank my family, especially my son Cameron, who was the first person to tell me that I should write a book, and who is no longer dating the girl who liked Maisie Yates' books better than mine. I'm kidding. She's a sweetheart. I mean, they're not dating. They really aren't, but not because of that. And she's a sweet in our heart, and I love her. But I also want to thank my husband, David, for all of his support and encouragement, who's no stranger to winning awards himself. A few years ago, he was named one of the best lawyers in the city of San Antonio. And when the magazine came out with the announcement, they didn't have editors as good as we do because they left the W out of the word lawyers. And it said, congratulations to David Farmer, San Antonio's best layer, and which was our family's best award until now. I want to thank my parents and my mom who made 300 pair of earrings for my swag this year. So yay! And I want to thank my dogs, Bliss and Finn. Don't judge. Because they are both characters in this book that won, but their names are Olive and Bee. And I want to thank my amazing editor, Gail Chasen, and my agent, Liz Winnett Rubenstein, both of whom I should probably have thanked before I thanked my dogs. Seriously, I should have, but okay. I love you both, and I consider myself so lucky to work with you every day. The best possible thing about being a romance author is not getting to dress up in a Princess Diana gown. I mean, it kind of is, but the second best part are the relationships that I've formed with so many incredible women authors, and I especially want to thank Julia London, Sasha Summers, Patricia Fisher, Becky Ugolini, McKenna Lee, Molly Mirren, Jolene Navarro, Allison Collins, Kelly White, and all the amazing writers and San Antonio romance authors. I share this award with all of you. Thank you so much.
Well, fortunately, I don't have to explain how much fun it is to work with Terry. And we just are so delighted that you've honored her with this award. Thank you so much for myself and for Harlequin. Thank you.
Please welcome award-winning author and president of the New York City chapter of the Romance Writers of America, LaQuette.
As the president of the New York City chapter of RWA, I am happy to be here tonight. It thrills us to be your host city. The romance genre has been a significant part of my life since I read my first romance novel at 16, A Harlequin Presents by Carol Mortimer, titled The Devil's Price. Like many of us, I was hooked. I raided my local library's romance section and devoured the books on almost a daily basis. But after that 2-year mark, though my love of the genre thrived, my dedication to reading it withered, and I withdrew from it. The stories were still well written and intriguing, but as I grew into adulthood and realized what it meant to be a Black woman in this world to me, the books lost their luster. I wanted to see myself in them, but never once did I discover a story featuring a curvy Black girl from Brooklyn finding her happiness too. And trust me, I looked for them. So after a while, I stopped reading romance altogether. Some might struggle to understand why not seeing myself on the page would make my interest in romance wane. It wasn't just because I needed to see a Black woman on the pages. It was the underlying message that as a curvy Black woman from Brooklyn, I didn't deserve love, the same chance at a happily ever after as my white, thin counterparts. And then I discovered Black Expressions Book Club, a subscription service that sold African American literature in all genres. And like Terry McMillan's Stella, your girl got her romance reading groove back, writing too. There I discovered the trailblazers of our genre: Rochelle Allers, Donna Hill, Frances Ray, Serenity King, and Gwen Forster. I discovered E.L. Lynn Harris's stories of LGBTQ people of color living, loving, and fighting for their happily ever after. I discovered the beauty of eroticism in romance through the scorching hot, feminist, sexually liberating work of Zane and Mary B. Morrison, AKA Honey Bee. I studied at the feet of brilliant authors who wrote unapologetically sexy Black characters living their best and sometimes craziest lives. These books did more than entertain me. They taught me that Black people and other people of color, LGBTQ people, and everyone who stands at the various intersections of marginalization deserved love and happiness. That curvy Black chick from Brooklyn deserved a happily ever after. And they showed me that I could write it, so I did. I did, and I do, along so many other authors who are doing the same, writing their stories that come thanks to decades of other writers who wrote before us, stories that are created for a new generation of readers for whom diversity is natural. It's no big deal. It is the world they live in. They know we all deserve love and happiness, and they expect to see that reflected in their books. So why don't we work together to do what this genre does best: share love? To publishers and acquiring editors, seek out own voices, diverse, marginalized authors, and their work, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's good business. You're leaving money on the table. Support these voices by contracting their work, giving them the same advances, the same marketing budgets as are customary for your mainstream authors and their stories. If you give us the same backing, our books will sell too. Mainstream authors, support us by recommending our work, sharing your author platforms with us the way you do any other of your other author friends. Celebrate these authors and their works, not because they are marginalized voices, but because they are writing damn good books that should be celebrated regardless of their background. It might get a little quiet after I say this next piece. Y'all might not like me after this, but readers, look beyond the easy excuse of not being able to relate to stories not centered on your own experiences. Ask yourselves, why is it easier for you to relate to lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, falling in love, than it is for you to find a story about a successful Black woman finding her happily ever after? The answer to that question may make you uncomfortable, but discomfort isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a sign of growth, of compassion, of a path forward. Love is love is love. It does not come with a specified racial, ethnic, sexual, religious, able-bodied, neurotypical identity, or political affiliation. If we know this in life, we should also know this in the romance novels we pen and consume. To love is a human quality, and if we see the humanity of all people, the idea that they too fall in love wouldn't be strange. To my fellow Black authors, my LGBTQ authors, to my neurodivergent authors, to my disabled authors, and to all of us who fall under the banner of marginalized voices, don't let rejection stop you. Keep pressing, keep talking about it, keep reminding the industry we exist. Be so loud and so proud with your celebration of us that the world can't help but take notice of how beautiful we are. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a former artist, native New Yorker, and the award-winning author of the Dance Off series. When she isn't writing, you can find her live tweeting her favorite TV shows. And no, she isn't satisfied with the way Game of Thrones ended. Here to present the Rita for Best First Book is last year's winner, Alexis Daria.
There's nothing like the rush of nerves and excitement when your first book is published. The story you've created from nothing and spent countless hours polishing to make it shine, or at least revising until you couldn't stand to look at it anymore, is now out in the world for other people to read. A debut comes with enthusiasm, exhaustion, and cautious optimism. Will people like it? Will they buy it? Who knows? We're just putting a story out there and hoping for the best. Sometimes a debut has a lasting impact on the genre. Books like Night Song by Beverly Jenkins, A Bollywood Affair by Sonali Dev, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, even Twilight. But before that happens, when you're still riding the highs and lows of that first book release, because we know there are both, when you get the call that your debut is a Rita finalist, major high point. The finalists for the Best First Book are Celebrity Spin Doctor by Celia Mulder, Inkspell Publishing, Audrey Boback, editor. Lady in Waiting by Marie Tremaine, HarperCollins, Avon Impulse, L. Keck, editor. The Last Wolf by Maria Vale. Sourcebooks Casablanca, Deb Worksman, editor. A Wicked Kind of Husband by Mia Vinci, self-published. With Love in Sight by Christina Britton, Diversion Books. Eliza Kirby and Mallory Soto, editors. And the Rita for Best First Book goes to I ripped it. Lady in Waiting by Marie Tremaine.
Wow, I did not expect to be up here tonight. I am honored. Thank you to the RWA. Thank you to Avon. Thank you to Hannah here, who is on the board, but also gave me that first call, and I'm honored to have her on stage here with me tonight. She's also my local chapter member, so. Thank you to Elle Keck, who disappeared from her chair. Oh, yeah. To Elle Keck, and who is lovely and wonderful in all sorts of ways and helps me hone my voice. Thank you. Thank you to Priyanka Krishnan, who brought me on to Avon and helped me as well. I was very fortunate to work with two wonderful editors. Thank you to Kevin Lyon, my agent, who was the very first literary professional to see something worth sharing with the world. I am forever in your debt. Sorry. This is really just a long list of people I need to thank. There is zero wisdom here, guys, so I'm going to try to make it cute, but I don't know. Thank you to Pam Jaffe, to Kaylee Webb, to Jess Lyons, to Michelle Ford, to Angela Kraft, and the entire team at Avon HarperCollins. You've all been wonderful and like a family. Thank you. Thank you to my husband, Gary, who told me to write the damn book. After 10 years of talking about it and doubting myself, finally he said, Marie, which is not my real name, you don't want to turn 40 and not write this book. And I thought about it and I went, you know, you're right. So thank you, honey. I appreciate it. Thank you to my kids, Elise and Reed, who have become very understanding when I'm really grumpy around deadline time. To my mom and dad, who are watching from home, thank you guys. My mom, by the way, always has at least one copy of my book in her purse to hand out at a given notice, so thank you. I appreciate it. To my twin brother, Adam, who reads my books and told me I write dudes well, so I like that, thank you. Good to know. To his son, Connor, we love you. To Pat, my mother-in-law, to my chapters, the Greater Seattle RWA, to my other chapter that I am president of, the East Side Romance Writers Association, and to the Beaumont, thank you very much. I know you're out there. Gosh, the lighting. To Erica Bigelow, who has helped me. She's been a wonderful help with my writing. To Eliana West, who helped style me tonight, thank you so much. I needed the help, so appreciate it. To Kathy Wheeler and Jody Ashland, my roommates, who helped make sure I was clothed my first day here when my bags were stuck in Boston. Thank you. The week has now gotten better as of right now. To Ellie Wilson, Samantha Saxon, Sheris Michaels, Christy Carlisle, Lenora Bell, Lorraine Heath, Christina Britton. And Vivian Leray, and Julia Quinn, who has been incredibly wonderful to me and helped me out when she probably didn't have the time. Thank you. Shannon Sullivan and Heather Bottomley, my two friends who came out from Seattle to be here with me tonight. To Christy Beckley and Aaron Frank, my friends from the way back, and no, I'm not telling you how far back. And to everyone who has ever supported me, online and in person. Sorry. And for everyone who has taken time from their busy lives to read my book, whether you liked it or not, I appreciate it from my heart. Thank you so much. Happy Ever Afters for everyone. Thank you.
We're just so excited about Marie. She is one of the best, as you know. And just thank you on behalf of Avon.
Congratulations to all of tonight's winners. Champagne for everyone at the Rita After Party in the Astor Ballroom on the 7th floor. Please visit rwa.org/trailblazers for a reading list of all the trailblazing books and authors named tonight. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Thank you so much for joining us in New York City and for tuning in from home. Join us for next year's Rita ceremony in beautiful San Francisco, and good night.